This is Suzanne Talks To, and today I'm very excited to have Savio with me. He's another one of the Twitter acquaintances, and I was lucky. I already met you in life. Savio he calls himself a serial entrepreneur, and you have 25 years of media experience, and he's the founder and the idea behind and the editor-in-chief of Goa Chronicle, what is an online portal for national and, more importantly, also international news. I started reading a lot of your articles and they're very interesting. Little disclaimer, if this chat just suddenly disappears, it is because there's power outage in South Goa and we are praying that whoever your telecom provider is, it's not going to go up. Welcome, Savio.
It's such a pleasure to be on your show, Suzanne. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you. So you have a very interesting story how you ended up actually in Goa, because that was not, you are not, yeah, it sounds like from the name and everything that you were born there, you were brought up there, you were always in Goa, but that's not your story.
No, that's not. Well, I was actually born in Mumbai and I spent a considerable amount of my time growing up in the Middle East, which was Dubai. I studied in Dubai. And then I came back to India, which was more of a calling rather than anything else. You know, before when I grew up, I always thought of myself as a foreigner and much of an Indian. Because of course I come from Goa, I have some connection to Portuguese roots, etc. And I grew up in the Middle East, so I was very, I wouldn't say anti-India, but I was not very proud of India. You know, whenever I came to India, I would always complain. You know, the roads are bad. I normally came to Mumbai, so Mumbai was quite a shock for me. And you know, walking down the road, a lot of waste and filth around when compared to Dubai, which is a lot more cleaner. So I would always complain when we would come for a month of a holiday, and you know, really say that India is bad, Mumbai is bad. And when I'd come to Goa when I was very young, I had to, I found Goa to be more of a village more than anything else. And I would be scared of it because at that point of time, many years ago, a lot of the activities like using a toilet and all was outside the house and was very natural, and you would have like pigs that would take care of your human waste and things like that. So I had a scary incident that happened when I was in the loo one time.
So it's a
So I
kind of
was
a
very scared.
culture shock, if you say.
No, it was more of a pig shock more than a cultural shock, because in Goa in the olden days, when we had come here to my aunt's home, there used to be pigs that used to look after the human waste. You know, it was a very natural toilet in the outside.
Okay.
So I had a pig come put a snot out the hole, and that really scared me a lot because I wasn't aware. I mean, I knew they were there, but I didn't know they would come so close.
Oh.
So I was really scared of it. But that was when I was a kid,
And
and I always found India to be, you know, well, dirty and very unhygienic. And you know, I've come with my Nike shoes around that time, and I would not want to leave my shoes outside anybody's house because I thought people would rob it. You know, because that's what I thought it was. When you whatever you learned about India was from movies and Bollywood movies at that point of time, and there was a
exactly.
lot of this negativity on how people were and things like that. But my grandfather, when I was 9 years of age, had a very prophetic saying. Of course, at that point of time, I made fun of it
Mhm.
because, like all grandchildren, I make fun. You make fun of your grandparents' idealistic thoughts. Okay, so he had called me and he said, "You know, son, today you keep saying a lot about you're a foreigner and you want to live abroad and you want to go abroad and Portugal and London and various other places. But remember one thing, that one day in your life, Mother India will call you and you will come to India. You'll not know the reasons why, but you'll give it your best." This is what he told me when I was about 9 years of age.
Wow.
So I grew up in a family that never saw itself as a Portuguese citizen or anything of that sort. That odd one at that point of time was me, who had a lot of hope in Western civilization more than the way India is. It's not a in 99 happened from Dubai. A set of people either moved to Canada or Australia. I could not get myself to move to Canada. I
Okay.
decided to come back to India. And I don't even know why now I did that. But I don't regret that decision one bit. All my friends tell me you could have come abroad, you would have done well. I came back to India to do my law.
With family already or just you? Okay.
Just me, and then of course my mom and dad joined later. And I learned one thing from India, which is something I believed in before, also that no matter how dirty India was, how what I thought was not to my taste, India had a resilience which was very, very, very infectious. And it had, and more than anything else that you see in the Western world, India had something which you won't experience elsewhere, which is humanity of a very, very different nature. So when I was in Bombay, I was a part of, I somehow had the best of experiences as a journalist in odd places. Okay. So I remember when the Mumbai floods happened, and I was working at the Express at that point of time. So we were at it, and Mumbai was flooded, and all water was still flooded at point of time. But you saw humanity on the road, where people were coming out to people who were walking back home, providing them with food, with tea, with biscuits. There were people helping people. Where the water was really high. It's very rare that you see that in most other places in the world. When I talk to people in the Western world or in Europe or in Canada for that matter, everybody is so individualistic and very, very self-centered that they don't even visit their neighbors at some point of time. Here in India, everybody is interested in what's happening in everybody's life, so there is a connect.
That's true.
Okay,
That's true.
there is a connect, and that comes from a sense. You could look at it negatively or you could look at it positively. It comes from a sense of wanting to care. It's a humanness that India has. I was there in one of the trains on the opposite side where there was a bomb blast that happened, and we were on the opposite side, and everything came to a stop. And then you saw the care and concern of people. I remember there was this pregnant lady who came out of the train, and there was no rickshaw. Somebody got into a rickshaw, and he got out of the rickshaw, and he allowed for that lady to sit in. And while he decided to walk, he and his wife decided to walk because there was a pregnant lady. Now these are senses, these are experiences of humanness that it's very rare that you find that in other parts of the world. And I'm saying that because I've traveled to most parts of the world, and I find India to have a sense of purpose, Indians to have a sense of purpose as far as humanity is concerned. And my love for India then started to grow immensely from the negativity that I had towards being proud of being somebody having some foreign lineage to me. That my parents and my grandparents brought me up thinking that I was Indian. They never brought me up in any caste. So I don't believe in the idea of caste, though some people say you belong to it. Then we were very strong believers of our faith, which is Christianity. And while I am an inquiring person, I continue to question even Christianity on certain flaws which I think exist. And I think it's only right to question, because when you question, you get answers to your question. So I've always been a guy who's a questioning guy in nature. Yeah. I then come estate business, and I picked up pretty well. While being a journalist, I also started an enterprise of my own. Two of them. One was in media, which was move my media base to Goa, and that's where I started Goa Chronicle. But one of the main things that happened that led me to Goa was what
Mm.
happened in 2002. In 2002, I met up with the then Chief Minister, Mr. Manohar Parrikar, the late, and we had a fabulous conversation. With the Express, and I was interviewing him on tourism and hospitality. And we had a conversation on Goa on how Goa should be, what Goa needs to position itself as, what is the global image, brand image for Goa, and why we should take a leverage of it. And the conversation was very enriching, I guess, for both of us because he continued conversation some time. And then he said, okay, why don't you come over for lunch the next day and before you leave to go back to Mumbai. So I decided to go for lunch. And during that course of that conversation, he said a very interesting thing because being me, I'm highly opinionated, and I will always have something critical also to say in the interest of the state and in the interest of the country. So when I told him something critical, he replied back to me and he said, it's very easy for you, Savio, to sit outside of Goa bringing about a change in Goa. Why why do young people like you not come back and make a difference? That's what he said to me in 2002. And then of course he invited me for lunch. And the next day I went from from Shinchini in the south all the way to Panjim in the north, hoping to have lunch with him. But I was probably 5 minutes delayed or so, and he left a message with the guard to tell him that I have left for a meeting, and if he can wait, he can catch up some other time. So I got pretty annoyed because I drove all the way and then I could not get to have lunch with him. So I went back, I wrote the story, and I didn't bother about it. 10 years, 8 years later, when I came back to Goa to launch my companies, I met up with Mr. Parikar. And as I entered the room, he looked at me, and when I was standing, and he said that, how are you, Savio? It's been a long
Wow.
time. And I was like, yes, of course, it's been a long time. The last time, I was waiting. I came over to meet you. He said, yes, I apologize for that. And, so what brings you to Goa? I said, I took your advice, and that's why I came. And then we spoke for a very little while because he was busy, and then I went. And I was not into political journalism before. I was mostly into trade and business,
Mhm.
into travel and hospitality. I love trade. I love economics. I love analyzing what's happening in the market and
Mm.
all that. But when I started to watch Manoj Parikar and I started to understand politics from his point of view, and through numerous interactions, I realized that there's something beautiful about politics, and in India, it is just made to look like it's bad because Mr. Manoj Parikar was a highly intellectual person, a highly educated person, and he decided to take a plunge into politics. So maybe what is required, and this is what I actually believe, you need people with a sense of responsibility and a sense of head on shoulders to be a part of politics and to have education as their backbone to be a part of politics. Otherwise, you will allow political goons, people who have absolutely no brains, as you have seen in some parts of politics, to be deciding the future of our country, because our future of our country built on policies, is built on plans that are short term and that are long term, and therefore you need people who are visionary, and more importantly, you need people who have knowledge that can in specific fields. For example, you tend to have people in political powers that are heads of sporting associations, for example, who have contributed nothing to sports, nothing.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, yet because of their political background, they head sporting association. What do you know about that sport? Nothing.
Mm.
I'm just saying, for example, so a lot of this dichotomy that happens today in politicians who absolutely have no sense of any form of studies, whether it's sociology, whether it's psychology, whether it's philosophy, whether it's economics. They are deciding the future of this country in
It's
some
not. It's
parts,
not. It's
which is
not
why
only
today some
India.
of
I
the
just want to stop you for a second.
no, no, it's
There's
all
a
over.
lot of stuff happening also in other countries where people are getting posts for I don't know what purpose. Like Germany has a couple of people in positions where my parents are saying, okay, that's a kids book author, and now he's the education minister. Like, but what does he know about anything? Yeah.
No,
What are your
precisely,
credentials? What are your
precisely the
credentials?
point.
Even if you haven't studied something, it doesn't mean that you have to have a clever. This has to work, and then you can take the information from people around you. It's not necessary that you know everything about everything,
Not
but
really, but you know what happens, Suzanne? The basic necessity of education allows for you a grounding into systematic progression of a thought.
uh,
Okay,
yeah,
that is the basic, because education, after you finish your graduation or you finish your class 12, none of your education really helps you. The large section of your education, there's a percentage of that education that helps you. But what it does do is it grounds you into a thought process and a thinking pattern that allows you for you to take that thought into a logical progression forward. That's really what happens with education. So let's assume you have a guy who's a sixth standard pass, and it doesn't bother me if you're a sixth standard pass. What is important for me is that you have the intellectual capacity to take a thought and put it through a logical reasoning and then a logical progression and make that thought into a reality. It cannot be absurd. you know Today you have people who want to decide on the future of India. Then let's take a classic example. I'm not saying that Rahul Gandhi is a bad person. That's not what I'm saying. I personally think he does not have the political acumen that is required to lead this country, even though he's been projected from the Congress as one of the finest leaders for this country.
yeah,
Why? It's not that he's not educated. He claims to be educated at the Harvard, right?
yeah,
But the
thanks.
application of that education is does not have a logical progression. For example, you are within your right as opposition to criticize the government, whether
Of
you
course,
like Narendra Modi, whether you like BJP, whether you don't like Narendra Modi or you don't like BJP or the RSS. That is your prerogative. As a citizen, you have that right to have a difference of opinion, and the fundamental rights allows you that freedom of speech to speak against an ideology or a person you don't agree with. But
yes,
what is the solution to the problems that you are raising? Because for me as an Indian, for me to judge a Rahul Gandhi or a Congress party or any political party, including the BJP, I have to judge you with your solution to the problems that we have been facing as Indians. If you're
yeah,
going
and
to
it's
tell
very
me why in
anti.
the, you see, what I
The
find
only
as a
solution
problem
is
is,
we are against it. We are against it. That's the only solution that they're having. That they're saying
correct.
we are against it. But why?
I,
How come they have won in Karnataka so much?
well, I'll tell you, and then I said this to the
Because
BJP.
they're praising. One second, sorry, but they're praising Rahul Gandhi for the win in Karnataka.
Well, Congress, without praising Rahul Gandhi for the win, cannot be called the Congress in the first place, right?
Okay.
This level of psychophancy is fine with them. Should not bother me or anybody on the outside. If
Hmm.
Congress feels that the psychophancy of praising Rahul Gandhi is a necessity for them to maintain existence within the Congress, then so be it. My question at the end of the day is, why did Congress win? Congress won in Karnataka primarily because they had the right policies that they put forward to the people. That policies included a certain amount of freebies, which the people also wanted. Second, the BJP local leaders failed to resonate with the people in Karnataka, which is why those who genuinely believed in BJP voted for the BJP, which is why they retained their vote share. They only marginally increased their vote share. On the other hand, the JDS vote share that existed for JDS
Has gone.
moved to the Congress.
Yeah.
So Congress's vote share increased by about 5.5 to 6%, and thereby they had that difference.
Mm.
You see, eventually, even if you look at it from a Lok Sabha point of view, the BJP was around 37% at that point of time in 2019 when they won the elections, and they got 303 seats. If you are at 37 point something percentage, the remaining 63% is still not with you. So all it requires is somebody to get 38%, 39%, 40%, or 41%. Are you getting the
Yeah,
numbers?
yeah. I'm getting
Right?
the number. I'm just
So in
opposition
Karnataka,
is
that's
all over the
exactly what
place.
happened.
Yeah, the opposition is
In
just all over
Karnataka,
the place. They are all just splinter groups and they
but in
can't unite.
Karnataka, in Karnataka there were really only two oppositions.
Ah,
There
yeah.
was the JDS and there was the Congress. People decided to avoid the JDS on their own. There was nothing planned in this. People, the voters, particularly the minority voters,
Yeah.
decided that we will not go with JDS, we will we will vote for the Congress,
Okay.
thereby alienating the JDS. So they did not touch the core BJP voters. The BJP voters remain intact.
Okay. Okay.
But BJP did not gain vote share in the manner that they should have gained the vote share.
That brings me
Right?
to an article of yours. You have written an article why Modi can't be responsible for everything and everywhere and do everything on his own. You said the people on the ground have to be solid, they have to do the job, they have to work on things.
Correct. See, in all fairness, Karnataka over the last 1 year, there have been many reports that were coming out of issues that people were not connecting with the people on the ground. There were a lot of complaints about corruption. There were a lot of complaints about, the arrogance of the political leaders in Karnataka, some of them, which is why 13 ministers did not win.
Okay.
13 ministers of the BJP in Karnataka did not win. So obviously, for us and the BJP and people who support Narendra Modi, there has to be an introspection as to what went wrong.
Mm.
Not everything is negative about the opposition. The opposition, in all fairness, played all the cards well. Today, you can some of the BJP leaders on social media have been talking about complaining, oh, Congress promised this. They have taken so long to decide on their chief minister. How are you even making such ridiculous statements? Because we as BJP on certain states took 7 days to 10 days to decide on chief ministers. Isn't that not their prerogative?
Yeah, but that is that online game where somebody is saying something and somebody has to say something about
Yes,
it,
but
and
what
nobody
you
is
don't
going ahead with.
understand is that the larger section of society, Suzanne, do not like online games. It's only the trolls that like these online games. They are reading you for your intent. They are reading you for your purpose.
Mm.
They are reading you to see whether you have got that surety about yourself.
Yeah.
I am telling you, one of the most damaging aspects of the Karnataka elections was when Prime Minister Modi, and I've sent that note also to a person who would hand it over to Prime Minister Modi, that your statement saying that you were abused 91 times, which was a statement he made,
Yeah, I know.
was the most damaging because Prime Minister Modi is seen as a hero. He takes everything and he moves forward. He takes the abuses. He's been taking abuses
For
from
years.
the Godra right aspect. So when you come out and tell this set of people that I'm getting abused 91 times, they could turn sympathetic, or they could sit down and think, which is what happened. They could sit down and think, "Arey, he's our hero, and now he's suddenly feeling weak."
Yeah, but why did he like that? It was so out of character. I have not seen that anywhere else
Precisely,
happening.
precisely. Why he did it, I don't know.
Some advice,
It is so unlike him. See,
some advice.
Prime
Yeah,
Minister
because
Modi
usually
is somebody.
he's like the steamroller who just keeps on going and doing his thing and not looking right and left.
Prime Minister Modi is the best thing that has happened to India. He's the best thing that has happened to India primarily because he puts India first.
Yeah.
Okay, look at him. He doesn't come from aristocracy. The problem people have with Prime Minister Modi, and they've been having with him for such a long time, is because he does not come from aristocracy in politics. Politics in India for a very long time was controlled by the aristocrats of politics. What is Rahul Gandhi or Priyanka Gandhi's efforts in anything in life? Are they businessmen, successful businessmen? Why is there such a legacy behind them, if not for a grandparents and great grandparents? What is the legacy?
Mm.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has come up from a very humble beginnings and he's come right up. And that's the story. That's the rags to riches story of every Indian.
And it's always so amazing when people from outside are saying, "Oh yeah, he's higher caste and he's a Brahmin and everything," and then like the whole country's go like,
Does should that
"What?"
matter? I mean, I don't know whether I don't know his caste. Like I told you, I don't follow caste.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you whether he's higher caste to lower caste
He's
because I
OBC.
really don't care.
He's OBC.
I mean, for me, if he was a Brahmin or if he was a Dalit,
It doesn't matter
but
to
he was
you.
a good person.
But just see how the outside West is trying to portray a certain kind of image and is spreading a certain kind of news about India. Like that brings me back to your upbringing when you were coming to India. What people were telling you about India has formed your opinion before you came here. And the same thing happened to me. I mean, I came excited and I was happy because it had something to do with my love for acting. But I had people warn me, like they said, why would you go there? And all this will happen. And I came here. And yes, it was chaotic and it was noisy and it was overwhelming. I came in 2004. But same thing, what you were just pointing out, this resilience, the smiling, the smiles. I think this infectious, this love for life that this country is having. What I think
Correct.
to some partial is coming out of the religion. It is not a religion, it's a way of life, Sanatan Dharma. And I think this whole thing
No,
about
actually,
bowing in
Suzanne,
front of energy. Hmm?
I'll give you my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, on Sanatan Dharma because I'm a firm and very strong believer of it. I was born in a Christian family and I continue to have very strong Christian faith. When I mean Christian faith, in the teachings of what Jesus was trying to tell the people at that point of time. Let's also be very clear on certain facts because I'm not a zealot in any form. And while I don't judge zealots for their point of view, whether across all religions, and because I'm a student of religion, okay, Jesus was not a Christian. He was a Jew.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
fact.
that's a fact. Yeah.
Christianity came much later. And the Roman Catholic aspect of Christianity also came much later. But what was Jesus trying to tell his people at that point of time is only encapsulated in the two commandments that he gave the world at that point of time. Rest all you're good to read, make your own inferences and own interpretation. But he just gave two commandments to the people. One was love God with all your heart and all your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. Now, to love God, have you seen God? Do you know what God looks like? What is the manifestation of God? The manifestation of God is nature. The manifestation of God is humanity. The manifestation of God are your parents, your siblings, your friends, your animals. These are the manifestations of God. So, love God means to love His manifestation, to have a humane aspect to yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. How can you profess to love somebody when you don't love yourself? Whether you're white, whether you're black, whether you're born a Hindu, whether you're born a Muslim, whether you're born a Christian, whether you're born in America, whether you're born in India, whether you're lame, whether you're blind, these are who you are. And you in yourself are unique, irrespective of the flaws that you might think you have. There is a reason you are here in this world, there is a purpose.
Mm.
Once you start accepting that purpose, will you be able to accept everybody else? Like, I don't hate Muslims. I don't hate Hindus. I don't hate other Christians who don't like what I say. I love the humanity in you, but I hate the extremism.
Yeah, who doesn't?
In Islamic radicalism, why am I been exposing Islamic radicalism for a long time? Because the biggest victims of Islamic radicalism are the Muslims themselves, the women in Islam. who are being victimized. Look at what is happening in Taliban. Look at what happened in Syria. Look at what is happening in Lebanon and all these places. Look at the women. The Islamic women themselves are victimized. What is their life? What is their future? Today we are a conscious world. We are a world of intelligence. That is what differentiates us from animals. No,
Yeah.
we have an intellect.
Yes, we do.
Can we see the intellectuality in Islamic radicalism, where their women are turned to be slaves, worse than animals, and the rest of the Muslims are okay with that? It's the same thing when I raise the voice against sexual abuse in the Catholic Church. Who's questioning the faith? Nobody's questioning the faith. Everybody has a right to have a faith, and who am I to question anybody's faith? A person can believe in a rock and that person becomes a good person, well, so be it. A person can be an atheist and not believe in God and still be a good person.
But don't you think that's a
But
problem
with
of organized religion? Because
no, it is
if you just take the
it is a,
teachings without the business that has been made around it, or the structure that has been made around it, if you just take the teachings or the strong belief that everywhere is love, most of the time, right?
see, religion was made to create a sense of belonging of humans with some power that was far bigger than them. That is why they needed a god. If you go into the history how religion came about, you will realize that man needed answers for things he didn't understand, and therefore there was a power greater than that. And then you had various doctrines that originated. Now ask yourself one question, and that is the principle of Sanatan Dharma. If you cannot see the God in you and around you, then what God are you talking about? If you cannot find the God within you and you cannot see the God around you, what good is your religion? It's like my discussion with one of the Catholic priests, and it was a very intense discussion. And I asked him, I said, "Tell me, Father, in all fairness and in all humility, I'm asking you a question. John is a man who goes to church every Sunday, okay? Without fail, every Sunday, every important mass, John is in church.
Okay.
But John beats his wife.
Yeah.
John abuses his children.
Yes.
John is a womanizer. John is a spendthrift and does not save for the future of his family.
Okay.
And John is violent in nature. But he goes for mass every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now you have Ram. Ram does not visit the temple at all. Maybe once in a year or twice, once in 2 years. He does not cheat on his wife. He does not beat his wife. He works very hard to save for his children's future. He does not drink, smoke, or womanize.
Okay.
In the eyes of Jesus Christ, is John going to go to heaven or is Ram going to go to heaven? And that's the basic. So he obviously didn't give me an answer at that point of time.
Oh.
Okay. So I said that's basically where the problem is. I am looking at not the religion. I'm looking at the actions of what Christ was talking, what Jesus was talking about. What does it mean to follow Jesus?
Mm.
It does not mean to talk or have a huge institution with people who are coming there, congregating over there. But after they congregate for mass, to go out and be completely opposite to
Yeah,
the
yeah,
teachings of what Jesus was saying. That's not Christianity. Or at least that's not what Jesus was talking about. It may be Christianity to you. So the point is, what is Sanatan Dharma and why do I stand strong towards it? Because I think Hindus in India are the biggest victim of a campaign and a focused campaign to destroy the tenets of Sanatan Dharma in India. Because Sanatan Dharma is the beacon of light in a conflicting world that exists at this point of time. The world is divided all over, and I've studied this because I am a student of religion, conflict, and peace. And I can tell you, pick up any conflict, there is religion at the base of that conflict. Either it's Christians fighting Christians, Muslims fighting Muslims, or Christians fighting Muslims. That is the basis.
or they fight amongst each other.
Sanatan,
If nothing
all
is there, then the Muslims are fighting the Sunni and the Shia.
correct. The Muslims are fighting the
And
Muslims,
if
the
nobody's
Protestants
there,
are
then they're
fighting
turning
the
against their own
Catholics.
family. They fight with their women. They fight with their children.
Correct.
It's
So
everywhere like
conflict
that.
does exist.
Yeah.
And Sanatan Dharma is the beacon of light. Why? Because it does not. See, you can't take God and structure him into an image or a doctrine, because that very purpose of the idea of God is lost. The omnipresentness of God cannot be brought into an image or a structure. Anybody who thinks that God is this, ask yourself this question. No, people talk about God and God's nature. How come the good and the bad in a flood, all of them go? Do they judge? Does nature come and say, okay, listen, okay, you're a good person, so I'm just going to divert you a
I'm gonna,
little,
yeah.
go a little a little away, and the bad guy is going to get drowned in
It's
the
the
flood.
same thing when there's a football match. You can make it on a lighter note as well. Every team is praying for
Correct,
their success, and when they win, they said, God was with us. And I was like, what, which one? It's like, you're very selective here. Yeah.
correct,
And the whole
correct.
concept
Even
of,
let's look at COVID. No, COVID happened.
yeah, and
There
you're
were
going to
certain
book about it.
people across all faiths saying that you should do this from a religious point of view and you will be saved. There were pastors, there were people from the Hindu faith, the Muslim faith, all talking about how you need to be saved, and how the world has come to face the consequences of its uh, karma or bad habits or etc. In the end, many people died.
Yeah.
Nature culled itself deliberately in this case, because it was not an act of nature, it was a lab leak where people were playing around with nature's viruses, and something bad was created, right? The point is, today, what are we? And when the whole idea was to talk about the role of Christian in India today.
Yes.
See, a Christian in India today, Suzanne, there is no doubt that a considerable amount of them are a little afraid of the BJP. Okay, they are little afraid of the Hindutva campaigns that have been started or claimed to be associated with the BJP. Having known BJP for a long time, from the time of Mr. Parikar, I have not seen anything distinctively damaging towards the minorities from the BJP itself. There are fringe elements that exist. There is no doubt about it, but fringe elements are existing in every religion. Are you telling me that the Christian religion does not have fringe elements? What
Mm.
gives a Christian pastor like Pastor Punya, who Rahul Gandhi went, met, and brought him as part of his Bharat Jodo Yatra, who makes a statement saying that, I will not put my feet on the ground in India because Mother India is polluted and cursed and etc. etc. He went on, right? Now, there are pastors that have gone out saying that Hindu gods are demons, Hindu gods are this. Now, who's given you that right? Who's given you that right? Today, you, including some of the Hindu people who have I have many people who call me a rice bag. Okay, you're a rice bag, and I keep wondering, maybe they don't know my history, because we come from a family in Goa and we used to have rice fields, so we used to have a lot of rice. We didn't need to be bought out by rice. We
Okay.
used to give rice bags around.
Yeah.
You know, so the point is, this division that happens because of religion, and which something politicians play. At the end of the day, what are you? I mean, I asked the Christian, I said, how have you benefited? The BJP has been in power for the last 9 years.
Yeah.
Do you see any Christian representative in parliament at this point of time? Very few,
Mm.
right? Why? Because you are alienating yourself from a political party. If you have differences with that political party, why don't you understand that your views have to be heard? Why are you conflicting with political parties based on religion? Today you are talking about supporting Congress, but have you looked at the conflicts that happened during the Congress's time? You're not answering those. You are only against the BJP because it's predominantly seen as a Hindu majority party. What is wrong in Hindus defending their rights to exist?
That's a good
What is
question.
wrong
Yeah.
in it?
Yeah.
Today, for years, the Hindus have been demonized. They continue to be demonized. The West continues to demonize the Hindus.
Yeah, they keep on doing that, and I don't understand it because nobody is saying, like, you have always this Hindu uh, Modi and government and regime, and they always bring the religion in, but nobody says Christian Germany. Yeah,
Precisely.
like I'm from Germany, and nobody is bringing religion into the picture, even though most of the people are Catholic or Protestant in my country.
Correct.
So, but
Precisely.
nobody is bringing the religion angle into
And
it.
please,
Why
can
is
you show
bringing the
me?
religion in? And on top of it, it is a Sanatan Dharma. It is not even a religion per se. You can't put it in a in a nice box and say this is the whole thing. You know, put a ribbon around it and say this is explained, because Sanatan Dharma is what uh, the teachings are there. But the way you live your life, that is important. The way you are applying these rules and regulations, like ideas.
See,
It's not even
when
rules and regulations.
you know,
Like
Suzanne,
Bible is much more strict. Hmm?
even if you're talking about conflict, okay. Now let's assume for a moment a lot of these Christian leaders, church leaders, have been saying that there have been attacks on the Christians.
Okay.
We are a 2 crore plus population. The number of attacks estimated are somewhere between 400 to 600 over the last 9 years. Now,
Okay.
400 to 600 conflicts, if you analyze most of them, and this is what the advocate for the government has also put forth in the case that is happening in Supreme Court, that most of these cases were personal conflicts between two people. There was no religious connotation around it, but a religious color was given to it. Now, let's say,
Hmm.
for example, in USA, the hate crimes against Jews were have increased last year. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, would you go around making a statement in India? Should we start writing in Indian media that Jews aren't safe in America? So religious conflicts exist. In fact, in UK, the crimes were around 4,000 or something, hate crimes against the Jews. Right? Are we saying UK is bad for the Jews? No, right? So why is it when you take certain incidents that have been conflicts that have happened and you give it a color that the entire community of Christians are in danger? I am a Christian. I was a Christian before I joined the BJP. I'm not in
Yes.
danger. My wife and my kids live freely in Goa. We
But don't
traveled
you don't
around
you think
India. Where is the
it's just a
problem?
tool. It is a weapon. They make it into a weapon. You know, they're using
Which
it
is
in a
why I
certain
want the
way.
Christians to open their eyes and see you don't have to like Modi or BJP. It does
Yeah.
not matter at all to a person like me. But in your hate and dislike for Modi and BJP, do not create a fear psychosis for the Christians in India.
Okay.
Because if you see, a considerable amount of Christians are leaving India. Take an example of Goa itself. On a daily basis, many of the Christians are moving from Goa to opting for Portuguese citizenship and going out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There is a fear psychosis that has been created. If you ask most Christians, a considerable majority of them will tell you we hate the BJP. Will you ask them what you hate the BJP for? They
Yeah.
will say, "Oh, look at what they are doing. There is conflict around the country. There is religious hatred. They are beating the pastors up." I said that is not necessarily the BJP, number one.
Mm.
And beating the pastors, if he's going to abuse some Hindu religion, it's only fair. You would have done the same if a Hindu came into your church and abused Christ, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You would have pasted him as well. So
So
today you
people are
have people.
easily. So what you're saying, people as human beings, we're easily swayed by just an opinion, a feeling, and it's not based on any facts.
See, Karl Marx had said religion is the opium of the
Few of the
masses,
masses.
right?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I took a little, I'll take it a little further because of my studies in it. While Karl Marx said religion is the opium of the masses, when they get high on it, they behave like asses. That's exactly what it is. Religion is
Wait,
the opium of the.
one second. You have to repeat that because the picture was gone. They behave like what?
Religion is the opium of the masses. When they get high on it, they
Yeah.
behave like asses.
Okay. Masses and asses.
That is
Yeah.
exactly what religion is. So religion is a tool that is used. Uh, and why is religion used as a tool? Because it appeals to a mass audience. So when they put a fear inside a particular segment of society based on religion, if you read what the Archbishop had said in Karnataka, was the strategy of the church leaders in Karnataka wrong? No, it was a perfect strategy.
Hmm.
They decided to get people to come out and vote the BJP out, which was a brilliant strategy.
Yeah.
But you have used, say, I like I said, I don't dislike the BJP. That's your choice, and nobody can take that choice away from you. But when you say that India is in danger or Christians are in danger in India,
Yeah.
then you're creating a fear psychosis for India in a time that you should be making inroads or building bridges with the political parties that exist so that India remains safe for the Christian community, the Hindu community, the Muslim community. Why do you have to play a victim all that time? I was in Israel recently, and I
Hmm.
was in a discussion with a group of the minorities from Israel. Okay. And I'll tell you how deep rooted this so called hate is towards Modi and the BJP. So in the conversation, the minority head, who was a senior leader as well politically, he told me, he says, you should understand the problems of the minority because it's the same that you're experiencing in India. See what Modi is doing to the minorities in India. Okay. And you belong from the Christian community. So it was all that I required to get charged up, because for the rest of the trip I was very quiet, listening and observing. And then they brought me to my pet project, which was religion and India. So I told the gentleman, I said, with all humility, let me share my views with you firstly. Okay. The first view is I'm not a minority in India. There are certain sections of the society in India, political leaders to be precise, who would like for me to think that I'm a minority because I come from the Christian faith. But I believe that no mother finds a distinction in between her children. And I am a
Oh.
son of Mother of India. So I am not a minority in India. That's to answer your question number one. Your question number two is Modi's atrocities towards the minority community, in particular the Christian community. I said, I come from a Christian family. My wife and kids go to school. My parents live a great life. I'm not sure what is the atrocity that you're talking about. If you're talking about religious conflict, I will give you nations where religious conflicts is far higher than what is
Hmm.
happening in India. Will you want to state your views on that? Religious conflicts is bound to happen between two people, two communities. That's part and parcel of life. But are you going to insult my prime minister and my country based on religious conflict? Second, third most important thing, and this you should keep in mind, is what I told him. I said, listen, the problem is the victim card that you guys are so used to playing, the minorities in particular, whether it's Muslim or Christian. You believe that victim card so much that it's made you delusionary. You should rise above that victim card and realize that you have to contribute to your country, in this case, Israel, as I have to contribute to my country, India, just like
Hmm.
any other citizen. So if a Hindu came and told me that you are a less of a citizen, I would tell the Hindu to take a walk
Yeah.
because I'm as much a citizen as you are. My religion does not define my religion does not define my nationalism. The
Hmm.
fact that I love India defines it. The fact that I'm born in India and I wear India with a pride, that's what defines my nationalism. Will I die for this country if given the opportunity? Yes. There are many soldiers of this country that don't wear a uniform. I am one of that. I've been working in the interest of the country. So when somebody calls me a rice bag or somebody says you have to do garvapsi from where? I am in my home. This is my home. Because I'm not a Hindu does not mean that this is not my home. And that is what the Christian needs to fight for. This is as much a place as of the Indian Christians who believe in India, who are children of Mother India, just as it is of a Hindu. Are you saying just because a person has a Hindu name, he's more Indian than me? No.
When I came here 15 years ago, I wasn't even aware of any of this. I didn't even know about the different the different religions. I didn't know. I just came to a country. It was India, and everybody was in it together.
Precisely. Precisely. And that is exactly what India is. The problem is we have stopped thinking India, we have stopped seeing things as India. We have to come to think as India. It's not about religion. Today, you have some sections of society. When you had when the murderer is a Muslim, the section of Hindus will go up in arms and say, okay, let's go after the Muslim, let's go after the Muslim. The same people, when it's a Hindu, in some cases have kept quiet.
Yeah.
Media, in particular,
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
thing
So,
with the Muslims.
mm,
When it's a Muslim committing a crime, they'll keep quiet. When it's a Hindu committing a crime, it becomes national news. The
nobody's
same with
looking
the
at the
Christian.
crime per se. Nobody's
Nobody's
looking at
looking
the
at the crime.
crime.
Nobody's looking at the human.
Yeah.
Because your religion does not kill your humanity, no. Your religion is supposed to enhance your humanity. That's the purpose. You go to God to get to be able to understand how to be godlike. It doesn't kill your humanity. Unfortunately, religion and interpretation of religion is killing humanity, because you are allowing it to kill the very thing that connects you with somebody else. If I strip you naked and I make you stand, any human, remove all your baggages, your cultural baggages, your religious baggages, what are you?
Alive.
You're just alive. You're a human alive.
Mm.
You choose the decisions that you make, the choices that you make, you live by. And when you make choices based on bias, when you make choices based on religion, which turns to hate, then you are
But
only creating an atmosphere of hate.
don't you think this is this kind of typical I'm right, you're wrong?
Of course, it's always
Yeah.
ego. No?
I have especially people who have just discovered something. Let's say, let's take religion to the side. People who have just discovered something, like they were heavy smokers, they stopped smoking. What are they doing? They go around and teach everybody else about it. More anti-smoking now than somebody who was just never smoked their whole life.
See, even
So the
if you
same thing
were,
is
even if you had a
applicable.
great, even if you had a great religious experience, okay, let's take Christianity for example. Christ told the apostles to go and spread the word of Jesus, spread my word to the rest of the world, right?
Hmm.
To teach them. He did not in any sense say convert them,
No, he didn't.
right? His
No.
idea was to take his message across. So where's the problem that the Hindus are facing? The Hindus are facing a problem with proselytization, and I agree with them. What is the need to proselytize? Is only to convert people to increase your flock, no?
Yeah.
Because if a guy still had Hindu faith, are you saying he's not going? Which is the dichotomy? Are you saying only the name of Jesus will take you to heaven? I'm not willing to believe that. I'm sorry. I think I think the thing is that you have to be able to act or live like Jesus to be able to enter heaven, not just take his name,
Mm.
right? So today when people are going around, see, I when somebody willfully, acceptingly converts and is an adult, then the law protects. But if there is forcefulness, if there is allurement, if there is elements as you are seeing in this recent movie, the Kerala story, the love jihad,
Yeah.
then you have to be worried about it. The love jihad, Kerala story of the love jihad angle was when the Hindus were talking about it several years ago. Everybody said it's targeting the Muslim deliberately.
No,
It's a
it's not.
Hindutva thing. When the bishop of Pala diocese raised the issue of the Balankara Orthodox Church raised the issue, then they realized that, oh, the Christians have opened their mouth against the same thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I read.
So
I
now
read.
it's become an important topic for people to discuss.
Mm.
Otherwise, they didn't discuss it when the Hindus were raising it.
And it's nothing new. I mean, it's not exactly love jihad, but I remember reading this book about Not Without My Daughter by Betty Mahmoodi, and it
Yeah,
completely influenced my view on certain things. I was very young at that time, and I read it, and it shook me because a happy married couple goes on a holiday with their small child, and upon reaching there, he changes so much that the person that she fell in love with has completely disappeared. And I think the same
correct.
must be happening in the love jihad because the person you fall in love with is maybe then, is he real? Or is he only real under certain circumstances? And is he showing his real self later only? You know, it's
No, it's a combination of many things, Suzanne, because people
Really,
change.
because love is such a thing, you know, if you fall in love, that basically your brain is going for a holiday anyways, yeah. And you don't want to hear anything
So
about
love is a very
anything bad about the person that you're in love with. You just don't want to hear anything bad about that person. You can't because you're chemically pumped, full of hormones and full of
you see
butterflies and stuff.
the thing about India and the beauty about India is that intrinsically in our roots we are all Sanatan Dharma followers. Whether you accept it or not, your roots are Vedic, your roots are connected to India. Now that manifestation can take whichever shape you want it to, because the base of Sanatan Dharma is humanity, to preserve humanity, to conserve humanity, and to live together with humanity. Okay,
Mm.
and nature and everything around you. What is happening with this religious proselytization that's happening? It is creating a conflict with the existing Hindus who believe in their certain faiths for reasons known to them, for beliefs that they have, scientific or otherwise. Okay, and that is irritating them. That has come about, the BJP has come about. There is a resurgence of that belief system that we can get what we've lost. You know, like now you have the Ram Mandir coming up. You have a lot of the Hindu beliefs taking shape and getting covered. Before they would nobody used to report about it. Now things are being reported about. There are whether it's Gurudev, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, or the new gentleman that's just now went to Patna, the young religious leader that's come out who's been talking very, very strongly. I don't remember his name. I can't pronounce his name properly. That's why. And so there are people now paying attention to what is traditionally Sanatan Dharma, and there's a coverage that's going on. We have to preserve that because that was attached to the cultural aspects of India. Okay, let's say, for example, even today in Goa, Hindus and Christians and those who were converted, because most of the people in Goa were Hindus before. Okay, or some of them would have been neo-Christians at that point of time when the Portuguese came in. They still follow traditions that are traditionally Hindu in their views and in terms of the actions, but they're still done by Christians themselves. Hindu and Christians do these things together.
Mm.
So culturally, you're rooted to your motherland. Your religious manifestation is something else, but your religious manifestation cannot infringe on the religious beliefs of somebody else. So a Hindu cannot tell, which is where the conflict in certain cases happened with the anti-conversion bill. Believe that you require a law to check it. But what Archbishop Peter Machado was saying, some bits of it I agree, some I thoroughly disagree with, is that today an overzealous Hindu can walk into a prayer meeting, okay, and say there is conversion going on. But how do you define what is conversion going on? You have to define it by an act.
Okay. So that is not there.
No, I'm saying that you have to make it stronger. In the
Oh,
end of the day, is conversion going on? The answer is yes.
okay.
The question is, how do you define an act of conversion has taken place? Are you there? So today, let's say
Change
a
of
group of
name
overseas,
or I don't know.
I don't know. The thing is, I really don't know because it's too much a fine line. Let's say
Wait. Line is bad. Wait. The line was bad. Okay, now try.
okay, let's say I'm having a prayer meeting in my home, and I
Okay.
invite various different people, Christians, and maybe some of my Hindu friends as well come. Okay, and we do our prayer meeting. We thank God, and we go. Then these some overzealous Hindus come in with and
Mhm.
start saying there is conversion going on here. Now,
Okay.
can you please tell me how do you define whether I was converting somebody or not? Just by praying in a prayer room, that is conversion with other people there, and some Hindus happen to be there.
That means every time you play holy, you become a
No,
Hindu at that moment, or what? If it is just doing a
precisely what I'm
traditional.
asking. I go to a temple a lot of
Hmm.
times, right? I visit a lot of temples with my friends. When I come to Bombay, I make it a point to go to Siddhivinayak temple. You know, that's something I do all the time.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make me a Hindu? In the belief of yours? In my belief, I am, because I'm rooted here.
Mm.
But fine line, what I'm trying to tell people and what I try to emphasize more on is that open your mind to be a better human. Don't get religion to make you forget the basis of religion's existence. The basis of religious existence was to live together
Yeah,
in
but that
harmony
means
with
some
another
people,
human
they just don't have
and with
the
God.
brain cells for that. Sorry.
No, I don't know whether they don't have the brain cells or not. All I'm saying is that at the end of the day, you know, one of the unique things about life is you can take a most hardened criminal,
Mm.
a most hardened criminal, and you put him in front of his child. You'll see that hardened criminal will have a human touch to his child,
Unless he's a complete psychopath. But yeah.
unless he's a complete psychopath.
Yeah.
Unless,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Now, why does that happen? Because inside every one of us there is some element of good. We have just made the other person the enemy. That's all.
Mm. So you
That's
see
the
as a,
same thing. I'm.
like, just
It's a,
to take this a little bit further. So you say that you would like to see more Christians taking up political
yes.
discourse, be in that, do that. They don't have the
I would
discussions that
want.
much,
I
or
would
they have
want.
discussions.
I personally want more Christians to take part in political related roles in nation building.
Hmm.
More Christians should opt for IAS, IFS, IPS. They need to make a difference to nation building. Christians have been contributing to nation building for donkeys of years, for decades.
Hmm.
More of them need to come out. They don't need to leave their jobs in India to find jobs abroad. They need to create jobs here. They need to protect their land here. This is their land. This is the land of an Indian Christian, and it's like
So what just happened? Now he's frozen. Oh, okay. This was a very unfortunate thing that just happened, and I'm gonna just wait another, like, maybe a few more seconds. And I want to say also thanks to Swapnil for all the comments that he gave. What happens in the chat is that the comments actually disappear later, even though I have tagged the options that the comments should be there after the live chat as well. So whoever is commenting here, it would be nice if you could leave the comment again, because otherwise they just disappear. As this is a beta version, because I am actually live from YouTube, directly from YouTube. So Savio has left, and it's just me now. To wrap this up, thanks for watching, and I will try to get him back some other time on some of the topics that we can elaborate a little bit more. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please share, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Namaskar.